Hey everyone. So, if you're a realtor, you know there's one word that can really trip up a deal. And it's not offer or contingency, it's easement. It sounds kind of technical, a little mysterious, right? But honestly, getting a handle on it is non-negotiable. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on these invisible boundaries and turn you into the expert your clients need you to be.
Just imagine this for a second. You're showing the perfect house. Your client is totally falling in love. And then they point to this little worn path that cuts across the corner of the backyard and they ask, hey, what's that all about? We're here to make sure you have the perfect, confident answer to that exact question so you are never ever caught off guard.
All right, first things first, we have to build a really solid foundation here. We need to be absolutely crystal clear on what an easement actually is, and, just as important, what it is not.
So, in the simplest terms, an easement is just the legal right for someone to use a piece of property they don't own. The key things to tell your client are these. It's for a very specific and limited purpose, like a utility company needing access. And, this is the big one, it is not ownership. They can't just throw a party back there, they can only use that little slice of land exactly as the agreement says.
Okay, you're going to see some legal jargon on those title reports, so let's just translate it into plain English right now. Every single easement involves two properties. You've got the dominant estate, that's the one that benefits from it, and then you have the servient estate, which is the property that's burdened by it. You can think of it as serving the needs of the other property. Benefited versus burdened. That's it. That's the easiest way to keep them straight.
Now, easements usually fall into two main buckets. The first is appurtenant. Just think of it as attached to the property itself. It runs with the land, which means if the house gets sold, the easement goes right along with it. A shared driveway, perfect example. On the other hand, you have an easement in gross. This one benefits a specific person or a company, like the power company. That right belongs to them, not to the next-door neighbor's land. And you can see why this difference is so important when you're explaining the long-term deal to a buyer.
Okay, so we've defined them. But why is this such a big deal? Why does it matter so much? Well, because easements hit on the two things you care about most, the property's value and your client's sanity down the road. Let's start with the money.
Yeah, these are not just some abstract lines on a survey map. They have a real dollars and cents impact on a property's worth. A basic utility easement, that could knock the value down by 5, maybe 20%. But look at a conservation easement, one that could stop you from ever building anything else on the land. That could slash a property's value by as much as half. This is the kind of hard data that really makes the financial consequences click for a client.
And beyond the numbers, misunderstood easements can turn into major headaches. We're talking about real-world fights that pop up years after your clients have moved in. Imagine your client calling you, furious, because a neighbor just threw up a fence right across a path they thought they could use. These are the exact kinds of nightmares you help their clients avoid by spotting them up front. Your diligence is literally their protection from a future neighborhood war.
So, to really be that expert guide, you need to know where these rights even come from. There are basically 4 main ways an easement gets created. And if you can recognize them in a property's history, you've got a huge advantage. Let's walk through the big 4. First, an express easement. This one's the easiest. It's in writing, right there in the deed. Can't miss it. Then there's an implied easement. It's not written down, but it's understood from how the property was used before, like a well-worn path that's been there forever. Third, an easement by necessity. This one is created by law when a property is totally landlocked and literally needs a way to get to a public road. And then there's the trickiest one of all, a prescriptive easement. This is when someone gets rights simply by using another's property without permission for a really long time.
And how long is a long time? Well, get this. In California, it's just 5 years. That's it. If someone uses a part of a property out in the open, continuously, without permission for 5 years, they can actually go to court and claim a legal right to keep doing it. This is a huge gotcha that can totally blindside homeowners, and that 5-year number is one you and your clients really need to have burned into your memory.
Okay, we've covered the definitions, the types, the potential disasters. Now, for the most important part, what do you actually do with all this information? This is your hands-on practical playbook for dealing with easements and guiding your clients like a total pro.
Here it is, your simple 3-step checklist for every single deal. Step 1. Get that preliminary title report and go straight to the exceptions section. That's where any recorded easements are going to be hiding. Step 2, don't just read the dense legal description. Ask the title company for a map. A plat map is good, but a color-coded easement map is even better. It will show you exactly where these lines are. And step 3, the crucial one, explain what you found to your client. And always tell them to talk to a real estate attorney if things look complicated. Your job is to be the expert guide, not their lawyer.
And I'm telling you, that tip about the map, it is an absolute game changer. A page full of legal text is just intimidating for everyone, but a map with a blue line showing a drainage easement and a red area for utility access, suddenly it all makes sense. It's instantly understandable. Making this one simple request gives your client so much clarity and makes you look incredibly thorough.
And remember, easements aren't always about neighbor disputes. A lot of the time, they're just part of how a community is designed. You know the famous steps, lanes, and paths in Mill Valley? Those are all public easements, all carefully documented and maintained by the city. They're what gives the area its charm and provide crucial access for pedestrians. It just goes to show how easements can be a planned, positive part of a neighborhood.
Look, as a realtor, you're not just selling 4 walls and a roof. You're selling clarity. You're protecting your client's biggest investment. By understanding these invisible boundaries, you make sure they know exactly what they're buying and help them avoid some very expensive surprises. Uncovering the full story of a property, well, that's how you build real trust and provide a service that's truly exceptional.